Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, it's game day. For the first time this season, the Sens will take on the Montreal Canadiens, 7 o'clock at the Canadian Tire Center.
And Jacques Martin has made some major changes to the lines to try to help this chemistry, including one omission that Sens fans will be glad to see.
We'll get into that. And PWHL Ottawa played their second home game. It went to overtime. We'll have a recap of that and more on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 962 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. You can follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. The show is free and available on all podcast platforms, including on YouTube, where a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. You can also rate the show 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That helps us get this show out every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com and use promo code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order. That's JASEmedical.com. Today is Thursday, January 18th, and Pilsy, no matter how bad the Senators are doing, I know that this team will get up to play the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, this is a team that the Ottawa Senators, despite their overall lack of success, they've had success up against the Montreal Canadiens. And Ross, you've been teasing up to this game that this is a must-win game for the Sens, and especially Sens fans know this. When the game is at the CTC, the Habs fans, they come in groups, and there's nothing better than having them leave sad and depressed that they just lost to the Ottawa Senators. So let's hope that can happen again tonight.
It's been 6 straight games between these two teams that result in an Ottawa victory. The score combined between those 6 games, 30 for Ottawa, 15 for Montreal. They've doubled them up. Only one overtime game. There's as many shutout wins as there is overtime games. It hasn't really been that close. Montreal, though, give them credit. They're surging this year, at least versus expectations. They're coming off a win last night in New Jersey, and they're above 500 right now, Pilsy. They're 18-17 and a bunch of overtime losses in there as well. Because who doesn't have overtime losses? Oh, yeah, the Ottawa Senators. Montreal's 19-18-7 so far this season. So 15 points up on Ottawa. However, Ottawa has 5 games in hand plus tonight and 3 more against Montreal. So that's one of my goals this season. I made some bets with some friends before the year that Ottawa would finish ahead of Montreal in the standings. I was shocked they gave me even odds, and now I'm just hoping to claw and get a win here tonight. So it's going to be a fun matchup for a number of reasons. These atmospheres are always great. Get those beat the traffic chants out if you can at the end of the game as well. But man, Ottawa finally getting it from the standpoint that accountability should equal less ice time. Now, it's not the top guys who have been much talked about, Pilsy. Travis Hamonic will be a healthy scratch tonight. Dominik Kubalik has been demoted to the 4th line, and Vladimir Tarasenko is on the 3rd line. His effort on that 4th goal against Colorado, not great, but Jacques Martin protecting his veteran, at least in the media, saying that he's trying to spread out the scoring through 3 lines.
Yeah, and I believe that, Ross. I believe, Tarasenko being put down on the 3rd line isn't as much a demotion as it is spreading the offense out and elevating Matthew Joseph, who since he's come back, he hasn't been as hot as he was to start the season, but he brings that element of speed that the top 6 can use. That
shift on the PK against Colorado was unreal.
I don't remember the one you're talking about.
Oh, where he's hounding the puck over and over again. Parker Kelly missed a wide open net because of it.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like he's being noticed, and Jacques is elevating his role there. Parker Kelly sticks on the third line as well. So yeah, Kubalik down to the fourth line, I think is the right move. I mean, he's just been kind of a complete zero out there.
He's Jacques Martin's least favorite player. I can tell you that right now.
I think he's most Sens fans' least favorite player, unfortunately.
Let's get into the lines right away. How about it? Because this is a game day for the Ottawa Senators. We've had lots of great content this week. Claire Hanna, the best. She was on the show earlier this week, so go check that out. Really fun conversation with her. We appreciate everyone, by the way, for sticking with us, even when the times are a little bit wonky when I'm on my early morning shift sometimes. We get them out later in the day, but one thing that you can set your clock to is the postcast. After every single Ottawa Senators game, we go live on YouTube. The chat is always immaculate. The Ventcast was coined after last game because we vent or vibe on the postcast. So I thought that was really fun. And hey, it's a great place to commiserate. Misery loves company, and the Ottawa Senators have given us plenty of that. So make sure you hit the notification bell on YouTube. We're also putting up the thumbnail and click it, like making the room. We figured out we can change the title after, so I don't have to wait until the end of the game to make the title and post it. We can change that. So you can also hit notify on that thumbnail, and it'll tell you when we go live after the game. We will be doing that tonight about 9 o'clock, or my time, 10 o'clock Eastern. And the lines tonight, still my favorite line I think that I've ever seen. I like it even more than when Stützle was in the middle between these two guys. Ridley Gregg is going to take on the role of top line center between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. Tim Stützle will get to play with Matthew Joseph and Drake Batherson. Rourke Chartier will play with Parker Kelly and Vladimir Tarasenko. The fourth line is Mark Kostelik with Dominic Kubalik and Zach McEwen. On defense, Thomas Chabot with Jacob Chikrin, Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub, and we expect Eric Brandstrom to play alongside Jacob Bernard Docker. Joonas Korpisalo starts in goal for Ottawa. No surprise there. Mads Søgaard didn't fare great against Colorado. And if you look at it, I went to check right away because Jacques Martin made clear for the Colorado game that Korpisalo did not have great career numbers against the Avalanche. That's why he went with Mads Søgaard. Well, I hope he did the same for this game, because against the Montreal Canadiens, Joonas Korpisalo is 5-2 in 7 games and has a .920 save percentage.
Yeah, you love to see that finally this looks like a matchup that could go in Korpisalo's way. So, and again, Ross, the Montreal Canadiens, they played last night. So second half of back-to-back. So let's get Korpisalo in here. We got some new lines. We got JBD, some fresh legs in this lineup. Hamonic, for the first time this season, a healthy scratch. So there's no excuse to lose this game. Like when we look at the Montreal Canadiens lines, the Ottawa Senators have a better roster. Now, sure, Habs fans listening, hello, bonjour. They're probably saying, oh, look at the standings, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's fine. We get it. This team sucks at winning games, but they have a better roster than the Montreal Canadiens. Of that, I am very confident. So there can't be any excuses here. They got to get the win up against a team like this where they have an opportunity coming off the second half of back-to-back. So, Ross, I've been burned before saying this, but I have high hopes for this game for your Ottawa Senators.
Now, where in this game do you think it will be won or lost? Is it going to be special teams, 5-on-5, goaltending? Like, is it going to be just a complete effort, which we haven't seen in a little while? How do you feel the Senators are actually going to come through and win this game?
Well, Ross, the Ottawa Senators, everyone knows that they are a terrible team on the PK, sitting at 31st at 71.7, but not much farther up are the Montreal Canadiens at 29th with 72.7. So just 1% better on the PK. So we saw the power play, at least that first one, where Claude Giroux made that nice pass to Batherson and he one-timed it and they had good movement there. We saw that was clicking. So hopefully, Ross, I want to see, this needs to be cookie night for the Ottawa Senators power play units, both of them, because I think this is an opportunity they have to really make a splash. So I'm going to say the power play will be a big reason for the Ottawa Senators' success.
I like that. And again, with a team playing last night, they used their number one goalie. Samuel Montembeault played against New Jersey, so we're expecting it to be Jake Allen tonight. It wasn't even a home game. They were in New Jersey, so that's, I guess, a little more travel, maybe by a few minutes. So I think that this is set up for a winnable game. I don't want to call it a schedule loss for the Habs, but it really feels like Ottawa should have the advantage going into tonight's game. And also, like, these players need to be whipped into shape in terms of, like, you always have to get up for games, but especially these rivalry games. And frankly, Ottawa's done a better job of that this season. They're 2-1 against Detroit. They're 2-1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. And even the loss against Toronto, I'd argue they deserved the victory in that game in Ottawa. So I'm expecting the best from the Ottawa Senators tonight. We're seeing the rumor mill starting with Steve Stais being very active in trade conversations. So there's a lot of noise. It's time for Ottawa to silence that with a huge performance tonight. It's also the first of two matchups this week against the Montreal Canadiens. They are at the Bell Center next Tuesday night. So set the tone tonight. We'll have keys to victory, though, coming up. We've also got to look at the Montreal Canadiens roster and, of course, the PWHL Ottawa team. They have points in all three games, but were they able to get the win? We'll discuss after this. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mary J's. Mary J's is a locally owned cannabis dispensary in the Ottawa area. Three best friends started it, and they worked hard, and through that dedication, they now have 4 stores in the Ottawa area to help you out. The Ottawa locations are Riverside South, Orleans, Greeley, and Russell. Mary J's offers the absolute best and newest products in the market, with new additions to the menu every single week to keep it fresh. Mary J's has everything you need, whether you are a new rookie or you're a grizzled vet and already know what you're after. Mary J's offers competitive pricing. In fact, they will price match any store in Ottawa. That means you are guaranteed to get the best price around at a Mary J's location. Mary J's also offers the best customer service around by having the friendliest bud tenders who are always ready to assist. One of the owners, Dashi, a diehard Sens fan, he is an absolute beauty. So go to one of the stores, say what up to Dashi, pick his brain about the Sens and all the newest, latest, greatest products at Mary J's. Check out their 4 locations in Ottawa, guys. It's Mary J's Dispensary.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Jase Medical. Jase Medical. Let me tell you about the world outside of sports. I know we come here to escape, but you got to be prepared for real life. According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if one of my kids or one of my friends got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medication that they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. Look, this can happen to anyone. Visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. So go to Jase Medical and use offer Locked On to get $20 off your order. That's jasemedical.com. Locked On, $20 off your order. It's Jase Medical. All right, Pillsy. I guess I had a couple kids throughout that ad read, eh?
Couple kids?
I didn't edit it the way I should have, and I said if one of my kids got sick, I'd go to Jase Medical.
Hey, you know what? The citizens are all our children, Ross.
They really are. Hey, the citizens have been getting up and turning out for PWHL Ottawa. I stand by my assertion. I know you feel this way too. We need a friggin' team name. We need a team name.
Yes, yeah. Now, originally they had kind of leaked what seemed to be team names for the teams, and it was the Ottawa Alert, I believe, which is a reference to the old women's team. I don't know. I feel like they kind of soft launched those names and didn't get a great response. So then they said, okay, we're going to try again here. And also, Ross, the colors of Montreal and Ottawa are very similar on the team website. So I'd like for them to somehow splash Ottawa's colors a little bit more bright than those Montreal ones.
What I will say, though, in last night's game, went to Minnesota, and apparently, like, I know it's so early, it's hard, and it's so funny seeing some people, like, it's, they're the favorites to win. It's like, they've played 3 games together as a team. Like, let's take a step back here and just watch the ladies duke it out on the ice. But 3-2, Ottawa fell at home to Minnesota, and it was an overtime loss. And how about this, Billsy? Ottawa's gone to overtime twice in 3 games. The Senators have gone to overtime 3 times in 39 games this season.
Yeah, it's crazy, the parallels here. But hey, Ottawa, at least they're hanging close here. Like they've got a good goals for, goals against differential, two more goals than they've allowed. And sure, it doesn't look pretty sitting near the bottom of the standings, but at least, Ross, they are not as bad as PWHL Toronto, and plenty of season left to go. I mean, again, games in hand, an Ottawa tradition, as PWHL Ottawa has a majority of games in hand. So they got time to catch up here.
Yes, they do. And last night, it was a brilliant performance in the first period. I caught the first period, and then, man, these 5 a.m. shifts, they're catching up on me. I had to hit the hay early so I could be ready to go, bringing the energy here on Locked On Senators. But after the first period, they're up 2-0, and then it slipped away. It was all special teams. They got the power play goal, and how cool is this? We got our first jailbreak. So if you score a shorthanded goal, your team's penalty is over in the PWHL. I love that. I like it more when Ottawa gets it, not when it happens to them. But overall, and I mean, the first period, I know things kind of went a little more south. It was 3 goals on 21 shots at the end of the day. But I'm convinced that Ottawa has the best goalie in the league. Emrys Mashmeyer is a stud. She's so confident in the net. She's calm. She's cool. And she gives absolutely no rebounds as well. Everything just gets sucked up and whistled in. So I think it's great to see that that Ottawa's at least building from the goal out. And now, I mean, Emily Clark's going to get on the board here soon. We need Jenner to get on the board here soon as well. They're both still looking for their first goals of the season. So once Ottawa's top players can get into that rhythm and contributing, they're going to be a tough team to beat. So we'll have more on this tomorrow. Monica de Oliveira is going to join us. She was at the game on the broadcast crew for the pregame look with Kenzie Lalonde. And we're going to try to get Kenzie Lalonde on early next week because she covers the PWHL and the Montreal Canadiens. But she's an Ottawa girl, so we're going to get her on. She grew up being a huge Sens fan as well. So we're going to have a good conversation with her here, one of these episodes coming up. But Billsy, Ottawa, Montreal, it's a rivalry, whether it's the women's game or the men's game. Before we get to the Habs lineups, though, let's wrap up with Ottawa's Locked On players. We always tweet out at Sens Central, who's your Locked On player to watch tonight? And we took the obvious ones tonight because the best players need to be the best players in tonight's game. So we put out the poll at Sens Central. Who do you have tonight? Jacob Chychrun. We did a full episode on Jacob Chychrun yesterday. If you missed it, go check it out. We don't need to get back to that today, but we do appreciate all the comments on that yesterday. We put Jacob Chychrun. We also put Ridley Gregg. We put Thomas Chabot, and we put Matthew Joseph. Pilsy, the citizens have spoken, and Ridley Gregg is their Locked On player with 44% of the early returns on the votes. I think everyone knows that he plays that rambunctious, that in-your-face, pest-style hockey, and he feels like the kind of guy who's going to get in the mix with Brendan Gallagher tonight.
Yeah, I would love that for Ridley Gregg to introduce himself to Brendan Gallagher. That would be an interesting one. And, Ross, I would also love for Ridley Gregg to help our captain, Brady Tkachuk, increase his numbers against the Habs even more. Brady Tkachuk always gets up for the games up against the Habs. 25 games in his career against Montreal. That's the most of any team. 10 goals against the Habs. 11 assists for 21 points. 21 points, the most points he has up against any team. And another record for him, 5-game winners. Also the most he has up against any team. So, I mean, if I'm looking at FanDuel, I'm looking at the over. Ottawa Senators win. Brady Tkachuk shots. Brady Tkachuk goals. This is a game where I think we're really going to see Brady show out and lead by example, as we like to see him do. So I'm going to be locked on to number 7, Brady Tkachuk.
Plus 115 at FanDuel for Brady Tkachuk to score a goal tonight. I like those odds as well. You have Brady Tkachuk as your locked on player. I've got Tim Stützle because he's in the heads of every Montreal Canadiens fan. It would mean so much to him, I'm sure, with how frustrating this season has gone, for him to be able to show out in tonight's game. So I've got Tim Stützle as a guy I'm going to be completely locked onto tonight, every single shift. I'm excited to see what he can pull out of his bag of tricks against this Habs D-core that is inexperienced outside of David Savard and is just, it's ripe for the picking. And Timmy has started to come on. Obviously had that 4-assist performance against the San Jose Sharks. And yes, it was against the San Jose Sharks. Outside of that game, though, the points have not been coming. But to me, it feels like he is playing a better style of hockey. So I'm hoping that tonight's the night he pops off. He hasn't scored a goal since the Pittsburgh game winner, Pilsy, and that was 3-on-3 overtime. Like, if you're going back to the last time Tim Stützle has scored a goal in regulation NHL hockey, you have to go back to the Detroit win. The Detroit win.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like he's got a couple empty netters too. Like, just beating goalies 5-on-5 has not been easy for Tim Stützle here. And it seems like he's got the yips when it comes to shooting the puck and scoring goals. Like, he just can't buy one recently. 1
goal in his last 17 games for Tim Stützle.
God.
And that was the OT winner against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So is tonight the night, dude? This is not great. 17 in his last 17 games, 1 goal, minus 15.
Yeah, he's been struggling.
He's fighting it, but we got our guys, Pilsy, and this is the type of game that can turn a season around for a guy like Tim Stützle. I'm hoping, at least, because the confidence needs to get back. And again, I thought his game against Colorado was pretty good, considering he was matched up primarily against Nathan McKinnon. I'm expecting. You know what? I'm not hoping, Pilsy, with the salary he's making and everything. There's expectations.
Yeah,
I'm expecting Tim Stützle to take over tonight's game.
Yeah, I agree, and especially Ross, like, this Habs roster, even at the best of times, is a little weak, rebuilding team, but they've got a lot of injuries. So this is the time where you can kind of flex your muscles if you're Tim Stützle and try to put up some points here. I would love to see a Timmy goal.
And for the Citizens, Ridley Gregg also has 5 points in his last 4 games. So he's starting to produce. Obviously, 2 goals in that win against Colorado. He's got 1 assist. And
that was not a win against Colorado.
It was a win for the individual statistics of Ridley Gregg.
Yes, yeah. For that line should have garnered a win with the way they played, but unfortunately, Ross, awesome. I gotta correct you there. That was
no. I appreciate that. That would have been a bad look for me to leave that one in. But in 2 games against Montreal, 1 assist for Ridley Gregg, and he's +3. So I'm expecting down the middle to be the strength of Ottawa, and we'll tell you why after a quick word, because we will get to the Montreal Canadiens lines. A reminder, you can also check out Locked On Habs for the other side of this tilt. The first of 4 meetings between the Sens and Habs. The season series will continue next Tuesday at the Bell Center. Shane Pinto should be back for that game. Why doesn't he have a contract? I want to ask Pilsy about that after a word as well. And we'll look at the Habs lineups and some keys to victory. Senators taking on the Habs tonight at 7 o'clock. And make sure to go check out the Glebe Central Pub Shuttle, $17. There's still a few spots available, so go check that out tonight. It's an easy way to get to and from the game for just $17. And after the game, we will see you in the postcast. More after a word. This is Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Guys, when you're drafting your fantasy hockey team, do you ever wish you could do the same thing with your business team? If you're rebuilding a roster to win the league, to win the championship, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one easy place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like Indeed Instant Match assessments and virtual interviews. Candidates you apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in the search. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sit back, sponsor a job, and boom, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resume on Indeed fit your job description immediately with your post. Join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applicants that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right, Pillsy, it's game day. Senators taking on the Habs, 7 o'clock. And I'm seeing on Twitter people saying the Sens just have to win tonight for one reason, to keep Travis Hamonic out of the lineup. I think there's a few extra reasons why the Sens could use a victory. The moral aspect of it would be great. The Senators have only one win so far in the year of our Lord, 2024. We'd like to see that number grow at least a little bit. I know we spoke yesterday about embracing the tank, but Pillsy, these rivalry games need to be seen as must win. They need to be, morale is one way to say it, but I also think just like a confidence boost. Like you need to be able to come out in front of your fans and get a win. The Senators have actually done half decent compared to their overall situation at home in their last little while, but I'm excited for tonight's game. I really am.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I am genuinely anticipating a good game from the Sens here, and I've put my money where my mouth is on FanDuel, thinking that the Ottawa Senators are going to get the dub tonight. So, as Michael Scott says, I am ready to be hurt again.
Oh, so am I, Pillsy. Let's look at the Habs lineups heading into tonight's game. The top line, it's been clicking recently as well. It's Nick Suzuki with Cole Caulfield and Juraj Slafkovsky. The second line is Jake Evans, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, and Brendan Gallagher. It's Sean Monahan between Joshua Roy and Joel Armia, and it's Mitchell Stevens between Michael Pezzetta and Yuri Ylonen. He used to play for the Ottawa Senators. This is his kid, right? I need to figure out which one. Yessi Ylonen. Yeah, his dad played for the Senators with a cup of coffee. I want to figure this one out, actually, now that I'm off on this tangent already. His father was Juha Ylonen. Pillsy. He played how many games with the Ottawa Senators? 15. And then he played 12 playoff games with the Ottawa Senators back in 2001, 2002. Okay, there's a little aside for the historians back home. On defense, it's Caden Gooley with, I almost said Matthew Matheson. I'm going absolutely nuts. He's a chef who just won an award in Toronto. It's Mike Matheson. It's Jaden Struble with David Savard. And it's Jordan Harris with Justin, don't call me Morgan Barron. A lot of family connections on this one as well. Jake Allen.
Tim Allen in net, Ross?
Yeah, it's Tim Allen. Get your tools out. Tim Allen starting in goal, hoping for some home improvement in the slot. But if we look at a lookout player, Pillsy, I know you're going with the man highlighted in the photo on this chart.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking out for Slafkovsky, Ross, only because this is more a curiosity thing. Like, what's going on with this first overall pick? It doesn't seem like he's lighting it up. You don't see a lot of highlights for him. Habs fans, I'm not sure how they feel about him, but in his last 2 games, he has a goal in each of them, so he's starting to find the back of the net here. He's a big body that they're putting on their top line with Caulfield and Suzuki. So Martin St. Louis is doing everything he can to try to set this guy up for success. So I'm going to be looking out for number 20.
And we were big fans of him in the draft process as well, right? Because he's
maybe not at first overall, Ross, but yes.
Yes, I know. We had a couple other guys first overall, and you can go back and check the stats on that one. But also, I'm nervous about Cole Caulfield because it looks like he's starting to score again. He's got goals in 3 straight games. He's got 6 points in his last 4 games. He had gone a long stretch there where the puck just wasn't going in for him, kind of like it's been with Tim Stützle. But Cole Caulfield, I mean, he's a pure goal scorer. Before scoring, like he's a streaky goal scorer, and a lot of them are, but he went 3 games straight with a goal at the end of the year into January 2nd against Dallas. He went 3 straight games with a goal. He's gone 3 straight games with a goal as well. But before that, I mean, the goals weren't coming. He also had, it took him 22 games to get 4 goals in his previous game. So he's been streaky this year, but he's on a heater, and we know he always plays well against the Ottawa Senators. And in his career against the Sens, he's got 4 goals in 7 games. No assists, though, so just 4 points. But how many of those? Yeah, one of them is the game winner. It was in overtime. I remember in the COVID season. It was in his rookie year. But again, the Habs just haven't beaten Ottawa, so I should have known better that there weren't many game winners in there. But he's a guy who's dangerous every time he's on the ice. To give a little bonus, I'll say Joshua Waugh. He's just getting his feet wet in the National Hockey League, but he's a guy who scored his first NHL goal last night. And we know that you can carry a bit of that, not momentum, sure, but also that what do you call it when you're just like amped up on something? The adrenaline. The adrenaline is flowing, I'm sure, for him, getting a chance. 5th round pick. And his trajectory has just been unreal. He was so good in the QMJHL, played on that World Junior team that won the gold medal, not this year, obviously, but last year. And he's 3 games into his NHL career. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for number 89 on the 3rd line. And shocked to see Brendan Gallagher still in a top 6 role. This guy, I mean, just hanging on at this point. But for me, it's a situation where you could take advantage when Brendan Gallagher's on the ice. Got 7 goals in 44 games this year. Yeah, Habs fans will say so does Timmy, but 15 points ain't going to cut it. Minus
dash 18, yeah.
And he's making over $6 million. So I know he's going to be getting up for this game, I'm sure, because, I mean, he's a competitor. There's no doubt. Warrior, you could even say. He's a grit grinder, but this is a line that I'm hoping Ottawa can expose the Evans, Harvey Pinard, and Gallagher trio. So to me, I'm matching up Suzuki against Timmy's line, and I want to see Ridley Gregg go on a different matchup here where Ottawa can create a little more offense, maybe against that Evans line or the Monahan line.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got that Brady, Ridley, Giroux line matched up against Harvey, Pinard, Evans, and Gallagher, like
you have to win that matchup.
Dominate. They should be able to dominate that.
Yeah, and on the back end, like Matheson's a pretty good defensive defenseman as well. So I shouldn't say it earlier on. There's a lot of youngsters, but there really is. Like, look beyond them. That entire left side is under 23 years old. The entire left side. So if you're a right winger on Ottawa, namely Drake Batherson, Vladimir Tarasenko, and Claude Giroux, you guys should be chipping it in their corner over and over. And I know there's some highly touted kids. Caden Gooley's had a great start to his career. Jaden Struble, Habs fans very high on him. He's physical as well. And I noticed that the Sheriff, Arbor Jackai, is in Laval. Kind of a wild nickname to give a guy who can't even get an everyday spot on a rebuilding team, eh?
Well, I guess the Wi-Fi is out.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is out. He's actually putting up numbers in the AHL, so stick taps to him. Yeah. Hey, he got some NHL paychecks out of it, and a nickname, Cult Hero of the Montreal Canadiens, Arbor Jackai. Won't have to worry about his shenanigans tonight as he is in the AHL. Pillsy, keys to victory tonight's game.
Yeah, you kind of took one that I was going to mention, the young decor, especially on the left side. But I'll point to the center depth as well, Ross. Even though the Ottawa Senators are without Shane Pinto and Josh Norris, I still like how they line up down the middle up against this team. And I really think if you can contain that top line, the other 9 forwards don't really pose much of a threat, in my opinion. So I'm hoping the Sens don't make me eat my words on this one. But I think up front, this team is so much better than the Montreal Canadiens. It's terrible to say, Ross, because this has been our mantra, no excuses. But for tonight's game, there really is no excuses. Like every one of the top guys has to show out, and this is an opportunity for them that they need to take advantage of.
And at home as well. So we're going to be looking forward to tonight's game. You can join us in the postcast afterwards where we vent or vibe. Habs fans, you're welcome. You're welcome to come in as well. Stir the pot. It's all in good fun in the postcast on the Locked On Senators YouTube page. Caleb, Sens Central citizen, great friend of the show. He says that it would be a good time to go back and look at our organizational value rankings as trade, like when we're talking trades, like who do you think makes sense and all that. I think that could be something we discuss tomorrow on Locked On Senators. We mentioned Monica's going to join us, talk a little PWHL action, and we're going to head into the weekend where the Sens play back-to-back games, both matinee games. We'll have postcast still. We don't sleep when the Sens play. We're ready to rock and roll. And Sunday, Shane Pinto is expected to make his debut. As your final thought, can you give me your, not level of concern, but we heard Bruce Garriock at intermission, and this was kind of the funny. We like Bruce, good guy, and I thought it was funny. They're like, yeah, we think he's going to sign a 1-year deal, but it could be a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6-year deal as well.
No, I think Rossi said, I think it's going to be a 1-year deal, but it also could be a 2, 4, 5, or 6. So for whatever reason, they don't want to do 3 years. Maybe that's
maybe
RFA.
3 brings them right to UFA.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't have a good answer for this, Ross. Is it a thing that if they sign him early, they have to start paying him early, or can they sign the deal to have it proactively start later, like as soon as the 21st hits? Like, would that be the reason? Even still, like that's pennies if you're considering he's going to sign his entry-level deal. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I am hoping though, Ross, that they don't go long-term here. Not because I don't believe in Pinto, not because I don't think this would be an opportune time to sign him long-term. They've got guys locked up long-term, and you need to have some flexibility throughout your lineup cap-wise, and they can't keep locking all these guys up when things are not going well.
I'm so excited for Shane Pinto to come back in the lineup, though. The vibes, the ability on the ice, the shooter's mentality, and kind of a secondary thing, but Ottawa has so many left shots. Like, Ottawa needs to add a right shot to their lineup. Like, think of all their top players. How many are righties? Giroux and Batherson, and that's really it. Right? Tarasenko plays the right side, but he's a left shot. Kubalik shoots left. Timmy, Brady, Norris, they're all left shots. And Ridley Gregg's a left shot as well. Like, they don't really have a lot of righties in their lineup, and I'm looking forward to getting him back for a multitude of reasons, and not the least of which is his ability at both ends of the ice. So that's coming around the corner. If you're looking for a little positivity, that to me is the number one thing right now, is getting Shane Pinto back into the fold. But tonight's game too, we're hoping to draw some positives on as well. And we'll talk to you later today in the postcast. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.